Okay, gaming has shaped many recent generations, but ours especially. With every gaming system, computer game, or simple phone app or simple game app on your phone, it's an example of how it shaped our lives. I'm sure most of you play games like Flappy Bird or Don't Touch the White Tile, things like that. That's an example. The company that's influenced my life the most has been Nintendo. Nintendo changed over the years, just like everything did. And according to the Nintendo company's company history page on their official website, all of its changes have been successes. But with everything, there is good and bad. Nintendo has evolved from its original system, the NES, onto the Game Boy and its several variations, then to the Nintendo DS, its variations, and then the Wii, and most recently the Wii U. The first ever system Nintendo had was the Nintendo Entertainment System, featured there. It was most commonly called the NES, and it was the starting point of the entire company. The NES was released in 1985, and it was a big success according to the company history page. But looking at it now, it's rather pathetic because, well, compare it. It was popular because it has an easy-to-use controller, just 2 buttons and a control pad, and it had games exclusive to Nintendo. Games like Mario and Zelda were exclusive to Nintendo from the start, and so if you wanted to play that game, then you had to buy the system, which is how they sold so many systems. When gamers look back at it though, they realize that it had a lot of faults. In GameSpot's 2012 documentary, Flashback NES, gamers of that time look back and mention all the flaws that the NES did have. It had poor graphics, bad sound, and the system had a tendency to overheat, which could be a really big deal because if you were battling a boss, then the system would freeze or it would just shut down completely, which means you lost all that you were doing and you didn't beat the boss. After the NES, Nintendo released the Game Boy. It was one of the first handheld systems to ever be released. The Game Boy, released in 1986, had record sales when it was released, and then later on had many variations. The original Game Boy, right there, had a monochromatic screen. For those of you that don't know, that means black and white and variations thereof. During its release, it could be bought in a bundle with the popular game then, which was Tetris. I don't know if any of you knew that. I didn't know that, but Tetris. Since 1989, the Game Boy has sold well over 150 million systems, according to the company history. It was a big success because it was a big success, and to keep up with sales and the improvement in technology, Nintendo remade the system 3 times. The first time it remade it was the Game Boy Pocket. It was the same thing, only a tad smaller and in primary colors. Then the next time it was remade into the Game Boy Advanced, which had a bigger screen, took up most of the system, and came in a color screen, which was a really big deal. After that, it was remade into the Game Boy Advance SP, which was, again, basically the same system, only it could be folded in half, was smaller, and for the first time in handheld systems had a rechargeable battery. All the other ones before that used actual batteries, which means you had to bring them along on road trips. The next system Nintendo introduced was the Nintendo 64. It was a home system like the NES. It was released in 1996 and sold a lot of copies, but I'm not going to talk about that. What I am going to talk about is the fact that it's the one system my entire family knows how to play. My brother Jacob got his 64 when he was 7, about to turn 8 for Christmas, and he's now about to turn 22 in 2 weeks. So we've had it for a while. It's been in the family for a long time, and usually when we have family nights, it ends up with most of us playing Mario Kart on it. Despite the poor graphics, we still love it. After the N64, Nintendo put out the Nintendo DS. It was the first handheld gaming system to have two screens, and the bottom screen is a touch screen, so that was also new. It was put out in 2004 with a bunch of rival companies' systems as well. In Ryan Ball's 2005 animation article, I Want to Hold Your Handheld, he talks about how Nintendo came out with many other rival systems and how it had a fight for sales. In Ball's article, he mentions how it came out with Sony's PSP. I don't know if any of you know that, but the PSP offered many things that the DS did not. It offered the ability to connect to Wi-Fi, and it was also a music player. So it had that going for it. Despite all the excitement for the PSP and the other systems that came out at the same time, the DS is the longer lasting system. The reason it's the longer lasting system is because Nintendo kept improving it. It kept releasing improved versions of it, like the DS Lite. Because the original DS was a bit bulky and took up a bit too much space, they released the DS Lite, which was thinner. The only real difference to it was the fact that it no longer offered you to play the original Game Boy games on it, or Game Boy Advance games on it. In reaction to the need and demand for Wi-Fi, in 2011, the Nintendo 3DS was released, and this allowed you to play with people all around the world, and also to play your games in 3D graphics, just on the top screen. After the DS Lite was released, Nintendo released the Wii. It was Nintendo's first try at wireless controllers and movement sensing technology. Because of this, it allowed you to play a whole new type of game. Like Wii Sports allowed you to play bowling, boxing, and tennis similar to the way you would in real life, which was a big hit. It was released in 2006 and sold millions. And other companies, in reaction to the fact that it was such a good seller, tended to copy it, which is why you now have the Xbox One with its motion sensing. I don't think that's a mistake there. In conclusion, Nintendo has gone from consoles like the NES and the 64 to handhelds like the Game Boy and the DS, and then finally to an interactive system like the Wii and most recently the Wii U. Most of you have probably played one of these, or maybe like me, you've played almost all of them. And then, whatever the case, Nintendo is all over the world and it has influenced many.